Hello and welcome to the latest Chelsea Dressing Room Debrief, where I'm sorry, guys, that it was a bit late this week because life has really been lifing, and I just haven't had the time to record my thoughts and reflections on our 3-1 abysmal defeat in the Club World Cup to Flamengo. Now, look, it's not the end of the world. As I said in my previous episode, I don't think we really care as fans in England too much about this Club World Cup competition just because of the whole concept of money placed on each win, each draw, winning the tournament, even the money you get entered into it, and the fact that really the season's just finished and players are going about a week off. That's if they haven't had international breaks, straight into this, and then it'll be straight into the season. So I think it's a bit of a farce, and that's my general view anyway. But let's get into it because I thought it was really, really poor. And one thing I have to sort of address before I go into anything Chelsea related is this whole concept of South American teams shocking Europe. It's not a shock at all. South American teams are in the middle of their season right now, and they clearly care a lot more about it than the European counterparts. Now, I saw a stat somewhere that 17 of the last 18 Club World Cups in the previous format were won by European teams. And I think the anomaly being that Corinthians beat us in 2012. Um, and I can tell you from personal experience that when I went to see Chelsea win the Club World Cup in Abu Dhabi, the Palmeiras fans said they treat this as their biggest sort of tournament, the Brazilians and South Americans, because it's their chance to prove themselves against Europe and against the rest of the world. And unfortunately, I just don't think we care enough, to be honest. Maybe that's arrogance, I don't know. Um, but that's just how it is, and that's the feeling towards the tournament. Don't get me wrong. When we beat Palmeiras, I loved it because that just meant we completed the set. And we'd won all the available trophies, and that's why I wanted to win it. But apart from that, now we've done it, I'm not really bothered. To be honest, I'd rather win the Champions League and the Premier League and domestic trophies. But yeah, and you can just see it like straight off the atmosphere, the fans, how much it means to them, the players, how much effort they put in. And usually clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, the English teams, and Bayern Munich, people like that, the big European teams, they usually in the previous formats of the tournament just sort of turn up in the semis and sort of get by without really getting out of first and second gear. But just because the quality is so much better than that's in these Brazilian and South American teams. Um, and I just think that now football's taken a little switch, especially now where the players probably would rather be on holiday. And the Americans have got that, the South Americans, sorry, have got that want and that desire to win. And you can clearly see Chelsea Flamengo, a burning example. But anyway, I was really surprised at Maresca's tactics and even more surprised by his post-match press conference where he came out and said he tried something new because it's not new. We've seen that time and time again this season with inverting Gusto, Reece James playing in centre mid, and it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked at all, and we always play really poorly. Gusto's had a poor season, really, because he's been playing poorly for quite a while now, and the two goals, obviously not checking over his shoulder and also losing his man at the corner. But in the build up to that, you had Colwill giving the ball away. And really, it's just pathetic. And it's the same sort of defensive lapses in concentration that we suffer from time and time again. And that is why it's fundamental that we go and buy a keeper, a top class keeper, and a top class centre back to shore up because we're only two and three experienced world class players away from being a really good squad. And no, we need to stop buying these 14, 15, 16 year olds because that's not what this squad needs anymore. We really should be pushing on after last season when we won the first bit of silverware as a group for these youngsters. And we got Champions League football. And the early signs that the Chelsea briefs on the social media that are going out is just not good enough. These players that we're trying to sign. I mean, Gittins for 60 million, he's not going to be what we need to sort of compete with the Liverpools, the Man Cities, the Real Madrids. We need experience. And Nico Jackson, literally, I mean, at 3-1, even with the, if we started stepping it up a gear, I could see us, getting something out of that Flamengo game. But as soon as Nicholas Jackson did that, it's just he needs to really stamp out this sort of poor disciplinary record that he's got, because that tackle was horrendous. Yeah, he might not have meant it, but you can't be like rushing in like that. That game literally was over in 6 minutes or so, because we conceded two poor goals, or well, three poor goals in total, and then you had bloody Jackson getting sent off. Um, in that 6 minutes, those two goals and Jackson getting sent off, and then that's it. That's the game. You're playing with 10 men. You're against a Flamengo side that's got their tails up. And you just can't be doing that really. And I just got to say, you've got real talent like Andre Santos, and you've got this new youngster on the bench, Dario Sugo. And what is that saying to you when you don't get, well, especially Andre Santos was one of the best players in the League One last year, been ranting and raving about there's loads of rivals who are interested in him. And he's a Brazilian. He wants to probably play against Flamengo as they were his childhood rivals. And you play Reece James, who's our best right back, by the way, and should be playing right back at the club, in midfield. So that weakens you straight away. And then Andre Santos has got to be looking at that, thinking there's question marks over his future now. If I can't be playing in this sort of glorified pre-season tournament, then something's severely wrong there. It doesn't say much for his confidence, and it sort of annoys me because I start to feel like all these owners and sporting directors are interested in that. It's creating a model where we just get profit off these youngsters that they keep buying. And that's not good enough as a fan. You don't want that. You want to see you compete at the top level. And that's not what Chelsea Football Club's about. It's not about, getting players and selling them to other clubs for profit. So that is worrying. And we play again Tuesday. So, we need a point to sort of progress. And then we probably play Bayern Munich in Charlotte. And hopefully, if we either win, we win. But if we get knocked out, I don't see that as a negative either, because then we can get back and sort of prepare for the Premier League season and get rested up without any injuries.